On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, Liz loves Jefferson Starship.
And try Dean's new shot, whiskey and some ash. Phoenix ash. Let's do this.
Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
I'm Liz.
And we're going to talk about season 6, episode 19, Mommy Dearest.
Oh, mommy Dearest. Mm-hmm. What's up with you?
Oh, goodness. We are just feeling very summer. I guess my excitement is, what have I been up to? We went to a show this weekend that was not related to my work, so that was super fun. And saw a really cool Dallas band called Jonathan Jeter and the Revelators at Double Wide, one of our favorite little spots. And then I had a girls' brunch the next day, and I was hurting a little bit, but I made it because we had mimosas, and I had lobster grilled cheese, which was decadent and really rich, and I was really sleepy afterwards.
Yeah, that sounds pretty rich.
That was at Lexi's in Trinity Groves in Dallas, which is it's really, really cute. They are playing up to the, please take an Instagram picture of everything in our business. That's their vibe. But at the same time, it was really cute. They have a Moet vending machine.
Mm-hmm. Too. They do.
I didn't use it.
Cool.
But yeah. And I guess, that's about it here. How about you?
I got to finally see Fast and the Furious 10, which was like the highlight of my fucking week. It's so great. They went back and rewrote part of Fast and the Furious 6 or 7, I forget, to put Jason Momoa in it. It's so great. They just go back and they have these scenes where he could have been in it, and just we didn't finish this scene. If we just kept going a little further, you would have seen that Jason Momoa was in the office right next to where that camera shot stopped.
He was part of it
all along. He was you took this from him. He's been coming after you for 10 years. And because of that, one, they got to reuse all the footage from that. So they didn't have to refilm those scenes. So smart. You're saving some money there, right? And then they also got to keep up with this fantasy that Paul Walker isn't dead. He is still alive in this franchise story, and I love it.
What?
He's not dead in the story at all.
I think I've confessed that I'm pretty far behind. I don't think I saw.
I think you need to catch up because Brian has not died, even though Paul Walker is dead and has been dead for quite a while now. Yes. Brian has not. Brian is living with his kids and Mia, and they go around their islands and do school stuff, or sometimes they live in LA. I don't know where they're living, but yeah. But it was it's, if you don't know, Fast and the Furious is the love of my life, and look for a podcast one day where it would just be me and the chicks who are the skank dancers, because I'm obsessed with all of them. Reach out to me if you're listening to this right now. Immediately slide into my DMs and we will get some shit going, honey, because I just want to know about their lives, right? These girls, if you've watched any Fast and the Furious movie, there is a scene everyone where there's just skanks and they're dancing and they're in tiny outfits no matter what country you're in, and there's dancing around cars. And I just want to know, and they progress, and
you want the backstory.
I wanted the backstory. I want to know, were you extras? How were you invited? How did you find out about this? How are you treated? Did you enjoy your time? How did you get paid? Should you get paid more? Do I need to get you paid? What? What do we do? Let's get your story out there, skanks. Yeah. And I say skanks in a very loving way, because that's what Letty called them. I did start okay, I've said before, I'm procrastinating and doing a lot of stuff I probably shouldn't do. So by that I mean I finally watched the parody movie for the Fast and the Furious. I couldn't make it all the way through. I think I made it like 45 minutes and I was like, I can't anymore. No. But they make like her character, they're like, yeah, she's just like in the closet lesbian. And I'm like, hey, she can just like to be like dressed like a boy. Like some of us just like to dress like boys and still like dicks. Like, don't judge her. But
it's rude.
Yeah, so that's a Hollywood weekend. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. So in other news, other sad news, and we keep starting these as sad things. So much like our Winchester's, Walker Independence has failed to find a new home after the show's cancellation. And according to TV Line, inside sources claim that the search for a new home, be it streaming or network television, has come up short. Without a place for the series land, the Walker prequel spinoff will not return for a second season.
Womp womp.
Womp womp womp. Which is sad because I also never watched that one, so maybe that's why it's not returning. But Mark Sheppard was in it, which will come into today's thing. And
what? Just kidding.
Yep. So, but no, that kind of bums me out. But maybe, one day, universes never die. Hopefully. I don't know. So
you tried to sound optimistic for a second, and then you're like, man, I don't know.
Right now, like, I'm not even optimistic that our banking structure is going to hold up, much less like I'm going to get to see like Walker Independence and like get excited about it. Like now, I don't want to watch it because I'm going to get invested and then be like, but then I'm going to have to like watch.
But no, I get mixed about that. So part of me is like, well, now I know I can watch it because I know it ends. And I know that may or may not mean they actually did a wrap up, but I know that I'm not waiting for something to come out. I can just watch it and it's like, oh, that's all she wrote. But also it's a bummer because if they leave it on a fucking cliffhanger, I'll just be furious.
Well, but then there's ones like, they're saying we're finally going to get the reboot of Chuck, and which is good because everyone wants the last season of Chuck to go away. So it's, hey, we know this ended badly and we want to fix what we did. But then now I'm still like waiting for like, when is that actually going to happen? Right. Like, in Serenity Firefly, the same thing goes in that. So I don't know. I do not want to say, obviously, like, one, just, say it's our bread and butter because we live off this podcast. But, like, this is, the thing, this is the universe I care about. I don't want it to end. And I don't want, the Walker world to end either.
The players, the participants in it, you want them to do well as well. So.
Anyways, so this one in particular, though, this is Mommy Dearest. And if you did not know, that is about Joan Crawford beating the shit out of her daughter, Christina. And that became a movie, and that starred Faye Dunaway. And that has the, one of the most famous lines ever. No more wire coat hangers. Ever. Wait, there's no coat. There's like, no wire hangers ever.
Guess what?
You've never seen it.
Correct.
That's fine.
But I know about it.
Not a lot of people have actually seen Mommy Dearest. Like it's a lot.
It sounds very depressing.
It's very depressing. It's real. It's disturbing. Like Joan Crawford was disturbing, and then like. I don't know. It's not saying it's not good. It's intense. So I don't blame you for not seeing it, but
that doesn't sound fun.
But everyone should at least know the reference, and also know don't put your clothes on wire hangers. It's bad for them.
Yeah.
Why the fuck does that still happen? Why do I still get those in the cleaners? What the fuck, man? All right, so this was episode 19. It was kind of important because like nobody kind of expects what happens in this episode to happen before the season finale, right? At least that's kind of one of the things that they were going on. And so Diana, were you, and we'll get into it more in detail, but were you expecting what happened in this episode to happen?
No, it seemed very, very sudden. And like, it felt very wrap-up-y with we'll get obviously talk about the end of it, but it feels very wrap-up-y and cliffhanger-y kind of.
Right. Like for 19.
Which feels like a season finale.
Yeah. So if I was like in this time watching this live, which I think I was, just be going like, wait, did I miss something? Like, did I miss my dates? Like, is this accidentally the end? Yeah. But we know it's not. Right. So this first aired April 29th, 2011. It was directed by John F. Showalter, who we last saw direct Clap Your Hands If You Believe, and more recent times was an executive producer on the Fallen Winchesters and directed 2 episodes of that show. It was written by Adam Glass, who we last saw in All Dogs Go to Heaven, Gross. Most recently, he has been an executive producer and writing on The Equalizer with National Treasure Queen Latifah. So we are now ready to. This is also like, typically I kind of warned Diana. I did not warn Diana about this one because I just kind of wanted to let it like be a thing, right?
Oh, and so I had alarm bells going off while watching the recap this week. I got in trouble for once I didn't take notes, and then once the Netflix just skipped it. But I definitely noticed Crowley, and guess what? I follow a lot of stuff about Supernatural, so I'm not a dum-dum, and I realized that he probably was going to come back someday somehow. So this was my super strong hint that we were going to be seeing our old friend Crowley again very soon.
But interesting, we'll bring it up again later. Mark Shepard's name does not come up in the opening credits.
Correct.
So you're seeing him there, but his name is not in the credits. So you're still like, well, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be this episode, but I know that they're hinting around his storyline and him potentially coming back. So, yeah. But I didn't expect it in this episode, once again, because it's 19, not the end of the season yet. Yep. So, there we go. All right. So, this episode kicks off. We are outside of the 8th Street Sports Lounge, which is just your run-of-the-mill strip mall sports bar from the outside. And we got 2 guys leaving. They're both wearing Bruisers jerseys and arguing about beer prices. So I'm like, oh, this seems all very legit. This all tracks. Yeah. Very normal. And we see a girl in the parking lot, and one of the guys, heaven must be missing an angel.
Ew. Ew. Why are you talking to the strange girl in the parking lot in the first place?
The barefoot girl in the parking lot.
The barefoot girl in the parking lot who has blood clearly on her thing. And your MO is that you're just going to hit on her and not be like, are you okay?
Yeah, no. So she caresses his face as she walks by.
Face swoop. Ew. Face swoop. Ew.
And he gets weird black vein things on his face.
He does.
And then him and his friend leave. But as she walks into the bar, we know now this is Eve because we've gotten to see her face. And we've got You Sexy Thing by Hot Chocolate and Gonzo playing. And she locks the doors from the inside and rips the door handles off.
Also, it was really funny when I was typing it, I realized that the lyrics in there, which is, I believe in miracles, you sexy things. I believe. So like the Eve was in there, like right when she walked in, I was like, oh, like her name's in this word. That's just a weird coincidence, but it's also kind of cool. I believe. So every time that came on, I was like, I believe. I believe.
I will say that the inside of the sports bar does not match the exterior. And I say this as someone that grew up in the suburbs and went to a lot of random sports bars and strip malls. It's just like the layout and then like the doors just didn't quite work and the windows weren't there.
I believe this is I forgot to read it. I actually did find my book, guys, just in case you're wondering. But it looks like the bar, we've seen this bar a few times. And I was trying to remember like which layout it looks like, but it kind of also.
I just don't think it just doesn't really match the exterior.
No, I'm talking about what it looks like, what happens inside of it. Like, it's not like Bennigan's. It's just like, I don't know.
It's very Bennigan's-esque.
Yeah, kind of.
But anyways, so there's two dudes sitting at a table, and one of them actually does ask her if she's okay, which is very reasonable.
Question.
She's barefoot in a bar with blood on her dress. Yeah. Ask her if she's okay. And she says she's perfect. And he's like, you've got blood on you. She's like, And so she kisses him. And he gets crazy black veins on his face.
Okay. Also, chick with blood on her, like, kisses you. No, you do not return this kiss. No, girl need assistance, not
and
Tom.
as she steps away, his head sags and his friend yells, "What the hell?" And she just goes, "I gave him a gift," which also sounds like something a really cocky drunk chick would say.
Yeah, it does. And there's a lot of people get her gifts. She's just because
she just walks. Well, she just wants to touch everybody's face. Like, do not walk around a bar touching people's faces. Just caressing people's cheeks, walking around the bar. Do not do this.
I probably would have punched her. We would have taken her outside and had a conversation. Yeah, we would have tried to help her.
Bitch, don't touch my face. Yep. Ugh. But everybody's just like chill about it. And they're all getting crazy black veins on their faces. And then they all start attacking each other.
Bar fight.
Big bar fight. But they're like kind of like vamps and they're like biting each other.
They're just eating each other.
Yeah, it's really bizarre.
I don't really understand what they're doing. I also just really, I don't really understand what these do.
It's just a very bitey scene, like a very bitey scene.
Yeah, but like later when we start talking about like how they are all like become different things, right? Like we see, some of them have, like they have the sticky things in their arms they don't like. They've got vampire teeth and stuff, but like they're not really like, but why are you eating them? Like,
I don't think they were eating. I think they were just like biting. Like, I don't know. It's very weird because she didn't turn everybody. She only turned like half the bar.
But why are they biting? I don't know. All right.
I don't know. They're vampy. I don't know. But it's real weird. And nobody can the people that haven't been turned can't get out. And Eve just sits down with her red cocktail to sip and watch. So we've got
Sioux Falls.
I guess it. Huh?
Aren't we at Bobby's?
Yeah. Is it Bobby's?
If we're at Bobby's, we're in Sioux Falls. Yeah.
Okay. Dean is just methodically packing shotgun shells with all of the phoenix ashes.
I appreciate his technique. It looks fine. Like, it's very therapeutic. Yeah. I like watching people it was like loading shells. Like, I want to say that because I was going to stop put me loading shells or breaking pecans. Like, it's the same like kind of thing. It's like the machine that has, or like putting corsets, snaps on, like any like machine that just kind of has that like grommet like thing. But it's just, I think it's just a lever. It's just like there's something very satisfying about pulling a lever down.
Yeah. And he's got 5 shells total. And he's like kind of concerned though, because he shows Sam and Bobby that these ashes don't do shit to him. Like he like rubs it on his arm and it's like no reaction. But like Sam's like not that concerned and neither is Bobby because they're like, look, like there's not really a way to test anything, but at the same time, like iron and silver don't bother us either. And that bothers almost all the monsters.
And that's right. So, I mean, so like, it's a fair point. Like Diana's like face would be like blowing up. Like if iron or silver like bothered you. If you're not watching the video, it's
probably aluminum and nickel. It's all right.
Diana is wearing a very large silver.
It's a big
collar
statement.
She's wearing a statement collar.
It is. You can probably hear it if I'm not careful.
No, you can hear it a lot. That is what you're hearing is Diana's statement necklace, or she's in armor. We'll just say that she's in armor.
We don't need that much extra audio. We'll save it for later.
She's naked now. God, that was so loud. Okay. Anyways, all right. So we've got.
I passed our monster test. You're welcome.
All right, Diana's not a monster. Hooray!
they've got to find Eve, and but Dean's trying to like make an excuse to not call Cass about this. He's like, he doesn't live in my house and he's busy. But there he is behind.
Yeah, so we have an exchange about Dean and Cass being in Dean's ass, and I am just going to leave that there. I'm just saying there's a large exchange about Cass being up Dean's ass.
Well, anyways, Castiel's there and he says that Eve is hidden from him and all angels. So Sam's like, well, why don't we find a friendly monster to be an inside man?
Inside monster. Let's find one.
Inside monster.
And they're like, who do we know? We have to know one. Dun, dun, dun. Let's go to our monster Rolodex.
Cass flaps away. Cass flaps right back, and he's got Lenore.
He's a Tara. Oh, sorry, Lenore. That's Amber Benson, who played Tara in Buffy. But whatever. She is a person.
Correct.
She's allowed to have other roles. She is not only Tara.
That's correct. So, and she remembers all of them and that their friend tried to kill her. And Sam's like, oh yeah, well, if it makes you feel any better, he got turned into a vampire and I had to cut his head off. And Dean has to add, with razor wire. It was wicked.
It was wicked.
It was.
That was what I did. Speaking of wicked, I did try and watch the Mark Wahlberg movie. Like, it was like one of the top ones on Netflix. I don't know. And he's like, but I couldn't do it. I could only watch, like, there was too much, like, Boston. It was too much for me. Wicked.
Oh, yeah, they get real Boston sometimes.
So Lenore, though, I love her. Like, she's the best.
She is, and she's like, and she is looking real scummy though. She's like dirty and not doing great. And Sam's like, look, Castiel's our friend, and we want to talk to you about Eve. That's why you're here. She's like, I ain't saying shit. I'm trying to stay out of all this motherfucking crap. My nest is gone. I can't fight Eve's voice in my head. And everybody started killing again. I've been hiding out in a fucking basement. Everyone gives in to Eve.
Yeah, and then she has this very interesting point that not only is Eve's voice in her head, like, she's basically like a surveillance camera. Like, everything that she sees and listens to, Eve can pretty much tap into. So that means, like, one, I don't know how she would hone into that, but that's a pretty...
It sounds so stressful.
It is very stressful, but also, like, if you can control it and be like, okay, now, like, how do you, like, determine, like, which of your children you're popping into, Eve? Like, and, like, on the right time, like, I don't want to pop in them like if they're like pooping or like, you know, just, or like constipated. That's even worse. Like, it is like when they're thinking about pooping, like, you can't plan that, Eve. Like, this is.
Do vampires get constipated?
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. Well, maybe not in the diet Lenora's on. So they basically convince her, and they're like, look, you know, like, tell us where Eve is.
Yeah, because we're like, we already lost our element of surprise. Element of surprise if you're a freaking walking surveillance camera, so where the fuck is she? And she kind of gives in. She's like, fine, I'll tell you, but that, you know, I don't want the world to end. I'll tell you where she's at, basically. And she says, yeah, Grant's Pass, Oregon. And now she knows you're coming. But she wants something in return.
What do you think she wants? Does she want cookies?
She wants them. No,
does she want to board Dean?
Her. She wants them to kill her because now she's like, look, I'm in danger and I'm dangerous. I hear Eve's voice all the time. Yeah, I've given in and fed already. You have to kill me. I can't do this. Basically, I'm going to be the monster I don't want to be because of Eve. Basically,
it's pretty sad, and that, like, it's. I think, you know, she's like, this is the appropriate thing for me to do. But, you know, and Dean, like, is having, like, the guys have a lot of empathy this episode, which is interesting. It's a very interesting thing. It's weird when it comes out for them, right? So, like, Dean has a lot of empathy that's coming out for Lenore and being like, we will keep you safe until this is done and you'll be fine. And basically, I think her telling them, like, I ate a 16-year-old was to be like, you don't have a choice. Like, I'm bad. I ate a 16-year-old.
Yeah, there.
If she
here's what you need. Here's what I have to give you. I know I have to give you this, so you will do this for me. But they still hesitate. They're still trying to figure it out. But Cass walks up behind her, puts his hand on her head, and we get white light out of her eye holes and her mouth hole, and she dead.
His mouth hole. It was just her mouth. And so, but the smiting also seemed like as much as Cass said, I had to move this along, it seemed like it took a very long time. I've seen him smite people faster, or like smite things faster, which is like, or like you just like low, and like, so it's like, can you like hurry this up, man? Like, she asked to be killed, not to be like, it's not good.
It's unpleasant.
It's not good.
Unpleasant.
It's not.
But then we get booped to Oregon.
Yep.
We got Sam, Dean, Bobby, and Castiel.
Yep. Nobody's
and everything. Everything looks lovely. There's a fire station. There's children on bicycles. And Dean's like, I expected more Zombieland than Pleasantville. But Bobby points out this can still be suspicious.
So, which I always think is way more suspicious. Like, if I'm in a town and like things aren't shady, like my guard is up. I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, what is up with these stuff from other people? Like, what do you want? What do you do? Like,
well, Dean's just glad they have Smitey McSmiderson on their squad.
It's always good, yeah.
But Bobby needs to get on a computer, so we go to Irvin's Diner. Mm-hmm. Which is also things like you don't hear Bobby say usually, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of
like Bobby's a hacker now. Again, we got Hacker Bobby on.
Sure. So at Irvin's Diner, we've got Bobby on an iPad.
He's on just like basic tablet, but he's now Hacker McHackerson has used this tablet to hack into a police database. But then if you look at like what Bobby's looking at, he's not really hacking into a database. He's like searching the newspaper and like maybe searching like what court police charges have been filed. Yeah, I was like, you're not hacking shit. You're using Google.
I do like them. They have the argument, him and Sam, about that's not a real computer because Bobby says a computer has buttons. It's a weird argument. But anyways, so I haven't found anything weird though, other than, normal meth lab type stuff that you find in small towns. So they wonder if Lenore was lying, but they don't think that that's the case. So Castiel's like, I'm going to go search the town. And he kind of does his zone out thing. But he is not able to. He can't go flap away. He can't go do his angel-y mojo. He's not flap booping. Nothing's happening because his power is blocked.
And it's at this point that we just start this horrific metaphor for Cass's powers being the equivalent of a man having erectile dysfunction, which I think Correct. We have talked about before. We've called it for other things, but like they just lay into this. Like, I don't know if Pfizer was just like sponsoring this and they're like, look, if you just say like flaccid penis enough, like we can get some Viagra sold. I don't
say it. If we say it 3 times, we'll ship blue pills everywhere.
Say it 3 times and your dick will get hard. So, and then it's not even like, it's even worse because they're not even just talking about a flaccid penis. Like, you see, mom is making him limp. Ew. Just ew.
Mm-hmm. That was not good.
Ugh, gross, Dean. Gross.
I literally wrote that line down and wrote ew next to it also. Just to be clear.
There's nothing else you could write. Yeah. Well, except gross, Dean, gross.
Yeah. But then Dean follows up with, without your power, you're basically just a baby in a trench coat.
And that Castiel is not. He's not happy with that. As he should not be. Dean, that's a dick thing to say.
That is kind of funny.
That is funny, but dick.
So Bobby finds some notes somehow in some federal thing, which doesn't make any sense at all. That some local doctor's office there called a report into the CDC about an unidentified illness in a 25-year-old African-American man. And
his name is Ed Bright.
Ed Bright. It's the guy from the parking lot that made the angel comment to Eve. So this is our only lead. So Dean and Castiel are going to go find this doctor, and Bobby and Sam are on their own mission. So they go to try to meet Dr. Silver, and the receptionist's like, "Oh yeah, he's out today," and
yeah,
the door.
She's like, he's out today, and they're like, but we have to see the doctor because Cass is getting kind of better at like faking being a human, and he is like, I've got a painful burning sensation, and so she's just like, not here, but you need to go find an ointment.
Mm-hmm. So they go around back, and Dean's going to pick the lock to get in. But while he's trying to pick the lock, and Castiel's giving him shit for taking too long, he sees blood on the ground in their little outside storage thing. I don't know. It's weird. So they go to that and they open that little storage. It's like a storage closet.
It's like a shed. It's like an outdoor shed. And outdoor in that shed is Ed. And in that shed is Ed. And Ed is dead.
Ed's dead and wrapped in plastic with weird laceration type things on his skin. And he's got like kind of laceration type things on his skin.
They don't look
so
good. Gross.
They're real confused. They're like, okay, so the doctor called the CDC and then disappears and this body's here. So we got to figure this shit out. But in the meantime, we need to burn this body just in case.
Yeah, smart. I would burn it too, but I would burn it far away and like probably in an incinerator. And I wouldn't be breathing the smoke, the fumes or anything that came off of that Ed. So.
No. Yeah, it's probably, you definitely don't want to do it in that lattice.
Do you want to burn someone who's toxic?
This is how you burn a building down.
A human being? No, it's not what you do.
And this is how you said it. And this is also how you said it. Burn an entire building down.
This is like, y'all need to get some fucking like personal protection equipment here. Like, you need some PPE. Like, you need to be wearing a fucking mask if you're like, this is like literally CDC shit. Don't lick that. Stop licking it, Dean. I don't know why I'm assuming he's licking stuff. He just is. All right.
So Bobby and Sam are also looking for the doctor, but they went to his house. And they end up with a photo of him and his wife and his 2 sons. And while they're leaving, the sheriff for town pulls up. And so they both flash their FBI badges real fast. We don't get names. And the sheriff makes a crack about them being casual Friday agents because they're looking real casual.
They are.
But basically the sheriff's just popping by as a friend to check on the doctor because they're buddies. But Bobby's like, yeah, he's not sick. He's missing. He's not here. Nothing's been packed and the car's in the driveway. So you need to put out an APB and we'll meet at the station and talk about all this.
Smooth operator. Like, oh, yeah. Smooth operator.
Sheriff's like, hell yeah, I'm on it. And he leaves. And Sam's like, damn, Bobby, you were really talking out of your butt. And then we get a idiot reference, but you can tell Bobby's real proud of himself.
He should be. It was good. It was like everything he did was just like boom, boom, boom. I'm like, boom, yeah, boom. Hot Bobby. All right. So they take their land whale. I don't know why everyone's driving land whales in this episode or land yachts or whatever you want to call them, but they all got big cars.
Yeah, Bobby and Sam are in a 79 Nova, which I actually kind of like. And then
I'm mad at it.
Dean and Castiel are in an early 80s Caprice. It looks like
it reminds me of my first car. So I'm not mad at it because it just like I remember like I've had sex in that car.
And they pull up at the house that Ed lived at. Ed Bright, our patient 0, or what they believe to be patient 0. And they're going to try to go talk to Ed's roommates. But while they're standing outside getting ready to go in, Castiel's like, did Ed have a brother? They're like, no. Well, then that's not his twin because there's Ed in the window messing with the curtains and coughing real hard.
Uh-oh. Again, PPE. All right.
That's
so
not great.
They go inside and there are like so many dead Eds. It looks like I am currently experiencing a fly invasion, and it looks like the number of flies are like dead on my windowsills. Like it's just like there's a dead Ed, there's a dead Ed, there's a dead Ed, and it's a lot. I
like how it was Ed's dead, baby.
Ed's dead, baby. Yep.
Oh, so Sam and Dean are going to go in. Bobby and Cassie have to stay outside, but shoot anything that comes out. We don't know what we're dealing with.
Okay.
But Castiel's like, I'm fairly unpracticed with firearms. Dean's not impressed with this comment. As you know who whines? Babies. And it was just a really weird exchange. I just had to point it out because we had the baby comment earlier, which is what I've noticed is a pretty popular line. So to have this follow-up that's kind of lame was weird.
Yeah, I think Dean was just thinking about Cass being in his ass again. All right, so Sam spots an Ed inside that is alive.
Right. And it's actually, so they're going to try to talk to him and they're asking Ed what's going on, but he's like, I'm not Ed. Because he's not. He is Marshall Todd, who was Ed's friend in the parking lot, who was a white dude with blonde hair.
Oh my God, Marshall. Marshall looks like he should be riding a skateboard. Marshall.
And he's like, do we all look like Ed? And Dean's like, no. You have a fever and you're hallucinating.
Smart. That's actually a really smart line. Yeah. Like, oh no, like you just think you're seeing Ed. No.
But Sam's trying to they're both trying to ask him what happened. And he's just like, just convinced he's dying. He keeps coughing, talks about taking Ed to the doctor. Before they were sick, they were at the bar. and then he's coughing up blood, and that's about it.
Yeah, he's coughing a lot. It's real gross. I just don't like it. And now he's another deadhead now. So we have another deadhead. And Bobby is just like, you know what? I think this is an infection. Again, mask.
Yeah. But Dean's gonna go bathe in Purell.
Yeah, so. No, you should just burn that house down. Just burn it fucking down. Like, I don't know what's going on in this house at this point. Like, I don't care. You just set that shit on fire.
It's not good. Burn it with fire. And yeah, Bobby points out, he's like, mommy monster's making more. And he's like, Dean's like, but if we're going to make an army, why make one that's dying?
It's so gooey. It's gooey. Yeah. There's a lot of goo in this episode. There's a lot of wonderful goo.
So we're going to go to 8th Street Bar.
Let's go to the bar. Oh, someone else already went to the bar.
Yeah, this is back at the bar we started off at, and it's a mess. But also this raises a lot of red flags, because like, how long did it take them to get to this city, right? Number one. And I know they didn't take long traveling because they were traveling with cats, but like, it took them a minute to get like the info and get there, right? And then on top of that, no one in town noticed that this entire bar like worth of people just didn't show up today. It's very questionable. However, I guess we kind of get an answer for that. Kind of, sort of. But either way, this is where they walk in. There's bodies everywhere. And this is when Bobby thinks what I'm thinking. And he's like, you'd think the sheriff would notice that there were this many people missing in town. And they're wandering around. But Dean uses a napkin to carefully check the mouth on one of them. And it has vamp teeth. But then also he checks the wrist. And it has the wrist pointy stabby spike thing. Wrist
spiky thing that we don't like, because it's, I don't know why we hate it. We just do. We just hate it.
Wrist bone spike. Ugh. But so that's a wraith thing. And Dean's like, what has both of these? And nobody's ever seen anything like this. So now they know that Eve is making hybrid monsters. And Bobby tells Dean that you discovered it, so you get to name it. So Dean does. He calls them Jefferson Starships.
And why?
Because they're horrible and hard to kill.
Yep. And that is true. And also because there are so goddamn many of them. Just like there are that many members of Jefferson Starship. And Diana, what do you know about Jefferson Starship?
Oh God, not enough.
We're going to find out in... Liz just ruins her friendship with Diana once again by quizzing her on Jefferson Starship. It's our lore. It's our monster of the week. They are our monster of the week.
Starship.
And yeah. I know that she is probably not that surprised, because I kept sending her things about Grace Slick like all weekend as I was doing things. And frankly, I spent a lot of time this weekend with Grace Slick, with her interviews and with her biography. And ma'am, you're annoying as fuck. All right. So, first question, Diana, put your phone down so you can't Google this. What?
I wouldn't do that.
All right. The first one, it's not multiple choice. What band did Jefferson Starship come out of?
Oh, Airplane.
Okay.
Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah. It was like, this is like some of these are not bad. All right, so if you don't know, not everybody knows, Jefferson Airplane was originally this folk rock group. They were formed in San Francisco in 1965. Their first album was released in 1966. Yes.
One of the most popular songs is White Rabbit.
It is. And if you listen to Grace Slick, she will repeatedly tell you about how, like, her parents and all the parents read their children books about Alice in Wonderland, about the Wizard of Oz, and Peter Pan, and how like Alice in Wonderland is about shrooms, and Wizard of Oz is about this drug, and Peter Pan is about cocaine. And she does this a lot, and says that's what White Rabbit's about. Yep. Yep. And also, Don't You Want Somebody to Love? She actually was, Grace Slick was not the original lead singer. The original lead singer, Signia, I don't know how the fuck you say her name, Tolly Anderson, left the band because she was pregnant and didn't want to be anymore. And Grace Slick had another band that was around at the time, and she just happened to be in the right place, right time. Whoop, and she got in. All right.
There you go.
So, random guess here. Here's your next question. And based only on studio album participation, how many people have been band members of Jefferson Starship?
I'm going to go with 12.
18.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And then if you include like the iteration from Jefferson Airplane to Jefferson Starship to Starship, there's 26 people. And that's only on those that are in studio albums, right? So I wasn't counting people like, because like you can technically say like, you know, like the Dead, Crosby, Stills and Nash, like all of them like participated in their albums at one point or another. Like,
right,
they're that instrumental in like what was happening on the West Coast at that time. But at the same time, like, but that's oh my God, that's so many persons. I'm just thinking about how many band. Can you imagine being in a band with that many people?
Sounds terrible.
Yeah. All right, next question. During the 1970s, Jefferson Starship, led by Paul Kantner, Grace Slick, and other members, began incorporating synthesizers into their music, blending them with traditional rock instrumentation. Grace Slick incorporated some more unconventional instruments into her performance. Which of these did she not play? A cymbal helmet or crown, which is basically a headpiece adorned with small cymbals, allowing you to strike them together by moving your head or shaking it. B, a very tiny toy piano. C, a theremin. Ooh. Or D, a tambourine shoe.
I'm going to guess she did not do the tiny piano.
It was a theremin. She played a lot of toy.
What a waste!
Yeah, she played a lot of toy instruments on stage. A toy piano, toy keyboard, like toy flutes, like the helmet thing.
The theremin was a given.
Yeah, the theremin was actually not in there, but it was gonna like kind of actually take this even like further because I didn't know like how much about they had like they used the Moog, which is like this really crazy like one of the first synthesizers like in like. So as much as like Jefferson Starship is horrible, like the experimentation with synthesizers is still weirdly fascinating.
It's groundbreaking in its own way.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Also in 1970, Grace Slick was invited as a guest to the White House due to her attendance at the finishing school, Finch College. She and her guest, the inconspicuous Abby Hoffman, were turned away once security realized who she and he was. As Grace tells the story, this foiled her plans to do what? Was it A, shave and dye the Nixon's family Cocker Spaniel checker so it looked like an American flag? B, slip acid into Richard Nixon's tea. C, pee on the presidential seal in the Oval Office. Or D, steal the president's book of secrets.
I really kind of wanted to say that it's B, but I'm afraid it's C.
It is B. She actually had acid with her. Again, like I think, you know, as I have spent a lot of time with her and then her interviews over the years, I'm sure her publicist had a list of like, these are the stories that we tell over and over again. Right. So this is one of her stories is that she went to the same finishing school as Trisha Nixon. Trisha Nixon invited all the alumni from that school to the White House. Mm-hmm. So Grace Slick got the invitation sent to her in her maiden name. And so she showed up and basically the security is like, oh shit, Grace, like Winger or whatever the fuck her maiden name was. Like, you Grace Slick. And she's like, what? Nah. Yeah, I am. And they're like, she's like, this is my security. It was fucking Abby Hoffman. And she had like, I think she's like, I had 800 mics of it. And she was like, gonna like basically like when they were doing the tea service, like put the acid in her fingernail and then like flick it into Nixon's tea.
It still seems like a somewhat risky proposition.
No, it seems like a terrible idea.
But it seems like a very flawed plan. I'm just saying.
What? No. Okay. All right. So in the 1970s, a Jefferson Starship concert in Germany was interrupted by what? Was it a swarm of bees, a murder of crows, a flock of seagulls, or a gaggle of geese?
I'm going to say it was a gaggle of geese.
It was a flock of seagulls.
Damn.
Which is even better considering the time it was. Flock of seagulls about to come out and just like, and it was also like being like broadcast, so like people are just like, what the hell is going on? And I don't know, like as I'm preparing to go back to Blackpool, England, the land of the murderous seagulls, it just like I can just imagine just like that recording.
I just know that what Dick's geese can be. That's where my head went. But yeah.
Fair. All right. So next question. Which of these was on Jefferson Starship's rider in the 1980s? A. They required an operational tiki bar backstage. B. They had to have a Bob Hope impersonator. C. They had to have a bald-headed toothless hooker mannequin in the dressing room. Or D. There had to be a live boa constrictor backstage.
Whoa. So I've read a lot of riders, so I'm still just processing. I'm gonna go with the tiki bar, but I feel like that's too tame.
It is correct. That is correct. The other ones are actually so the Bob Hope impersonator backstage, that was Iggy Pop. The toothless hooker mannequin, that was Marilyn Manson, and the boa constrictor was Guns N' Roses.
Okay.
So I appreciate the idea of a tiki bar, but also fuck you. Because that seems like a pain in the ass to put together. I'll be like, I can get you a tiki torch, and here's a bottle of blue curacao. Here is some coconut water.
Have fun.
All right. And the last question. Which song, reportedly, was supposed to be a critique of the music industry and commercialization of rock music, was changed to be upbeat and to celebrate the power of music because the label and producer wanted something more commercially appealing?
Could that possibly be We Built This City?
That could possibly be that song, which was on VH1's 50's Most Awesomely Bad Songs Ever, which was on Rolling Stone's Reader's Poll as the worst song of the 1980s. And according to Blender Magazine, as the #1 worst song of all time in their list of the 50 worst songs ever.
To be fair, I think we can all argue there are way worse songs out there, just in general. Like, I've heard some garbage music. We've all seen and heard. But I guess as far as like big, like produced songs that were by like popular bands, it would win.
Well, sure. I think also if you really think about the progression of Jefferson Airplane to Jefferson Starship,
to Starship.
And Starship was actually like, there was no members of Jefferson Airplane were ever in Starship. And that was how you got to Starship, because when they had the legal battlements of the name, Jefferson. You can't have you couldn't have the Jefferson, and then you couldn't have the airplane, but you could keep the Starship. So Grace Slick was never in it's the thing. Yeah. But so this band, which was supposed to represent the hippie movement and all don't you want somebody to love, all oh my god, they had 50 so many fucking albums, and honestly I fucking hate them. They're not a great band. Fuck you and the hippies. I don't like any of this stuff, but whatever.
I like those songs. I like their two big songs. I won't lie.
White Rabbit is an amazing song, but
it's so well done.
It is so well done. But
well
that actually Grace Slick had that song before she even came into Jefferson Airplane. That she had that song written with her previous band, The Great Society. She brought that into the band. So if that vocalist had never left, that song never would have been part of Jefferson Airplane. And Don't You Want Somebody to Love, I think, was also brought in because of her, I think her in-law, her husband's brother, something like that. Both of those songs are because of Grace Slick, which is interesting. Just as a person, she's just kind of obnoxious, and I appreciate obnoxiousness. I do. I love that. But there's something about that level of hippiness that, as the punk rock girl in me, I have I think it's just part of I have a natural inclination to not like hippies.
Yeah, it happens.
So same. Yeah, but it was fascinating. Also, I love this is the name that Dean chose for.
It's so funny.
It's so perfect. If you think about it, it's so great. So that is the lore behind Jefferson Starship. And also, now I really understand where Jefferson Starship and Jefferson Airplane came from, which is important to my rock and roll knowledge.
It is.
And I always put it off because fucking hippies.
You didn't want to.
All right, so back to our starships and Bobby.
Yeah, he's pointing out that, look, everybody's been turned now and they're all dead, and they all like burned up like they had a high fever. So that's weird.
It's like a virus. It's weird.
Yeah. But then the sheriff and two of his deputies show up with their guns drawn, Oops. But Dean happens to be crouched, so he's able to sneak away. And Castiel's just like, this is not what it looks like, because it looks really bad. So Bobby's trying to insist that they're feds, and the sheriff's just like, feds aren't allowed to do this. Anyways, so
yeah, so this is like what it's weird. So they cuff them and they just take them away. Nobody,
they don't search. They don't do anything.
Nobody is going around to these victims.
No,
nobody's saying if any of the victims are alive. There are no medical people in here.
None.
Nothing is like all they're just doing is they just take these guys away and that's it.
And none of that. Nobody points this out, by the way, either.
That's a little
this is
sus.
Not
it's
mentioned.
a little. I'm saying it's sus.
But nobody points this out. Like Dean's able to easily just crouch behind something.
I'm just going to hide behind this bar.
Yeah. So at the sheriff's office, Sam's like, "What? I need one phone call. We can straighten it out." And the sheriff says, "I don't think they can straighten out a massacre." But once again, nobody has pointed out that, wait, y'all didn't even look around the place. Nobody sent the ambulance. Like nothing. But as they're walking in, Sam looks up at the security camera, and what does he see?
Jefferson Starships.
Jefferson Starships, because all of the deputies and the sheriff have the glowy eyes.
And, Boom. I have mixed feelings about this episode, but I love Jefferson Starships just as a concept. I just think it's great when Sam is just like, exactly what he's talking about. It's just wonderful. I love him. I love
really
him.
Funny. Yeah.
So, I mean, there'll be an AI me saying, I love Jefferson Starships, and someday someone will take that and they'll just take out the S of that. But,
Yeah. So, so he starts fighting against the whatever deputy holding him as he's yelling Jefferson Starships. So, Bobby starts fighting back too. And Castiel's about to get attacked, but right then Dean shows up and is able to cut that deputy's head in half.
And it's a very weird, the cut of it is and we'll see this, I think this is maybe the first time we see this on the show, but it's a thing we'll see. I think it will happen again in visual effects. Okay. But I love the top half, cut off, right? So you see the teeth and the way that the teeth are done, that it's not a normal inside, the inside of the head is not what the inside of a head should look like. So it's just, I don't know, it's just an amazing visual effect. I think it's great.
Oh, it was wild. And then Castiel kills a deputy that's about to do a wraith spike thingy into Bobby. And Dean's about to machete the sheriff, but Sam tells him to wait.
We need to keep a starship for interrogation.
So they chain him up. And, Bobby's going to start interrogating.
Yeah, so somehow, now Bobby has taken the role of Grand Inquisitor. Bobby's just picking up some weird roles in this episode, but cool, whatevs. So as he's torturing him, he's just he's actually are you guys the cleanup crew? And Bobby was again, you're smart, you're Bobby. You're my Giles here. You're asking the smart questions, right? And he's just and I'm oh, that makes sense, right? You're the cleanup crew, all these other things, this is what you're here to do. I'm
you're covering for all these people missing and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Tracks. This is why you're acting different than the other ones.
Right. And but the sheriff ain't talking. He's like, this is just a waste of time. Y'all are stupid cattle, whatever. But there's a noise, so Sam and Dean go off to go search. And in the jail, they find two children gagged. And they realize that it's the doctor's two children. So Sam's these two little boys, I say little boys. One's probably teenager-ish. And the other one's a child under 10. I don't know.
There's assume these kids are fine. Everything that you come across two kids that are bound and gagged in a cell. My instinct is, what the fuck is wrong with these children?
Well, no, to be fair, they open it up and they go to talk to them, but Joe is the older boy and he'll talk, but Ryan hasn't been talking since their dad got disappeared or whatever. And he's like, but Dean says we got to make sure that you're you. And there's a few dozen tests. So let's get started. Supposedly they test these kids.
Yeah, supposedly. I still think they're way too trusting, but just because they're children. But whatever. It's one of the endearing things about this episode, right? So while that happens, we go back to Bobby and Cass trying to interrogate our sheriff.
And they've definitely done a little bit of work on him. He's looking a little bit rough. But Sam and Dean show up with the boys and they're like, hey, they're human and they're hungry. So, but the kids don't have any information. The cops apparently the cops had told them that they were next and that they were basically food. And, but they've got an uncle that lives 15 miles outside of town. And so Dean's like, cool, we're going to get you there. That's it. And Castiel is pissed. He's like, this is bullshit. This is a distraction. You don't have time for this. We need to find Eve right now. But Dean's like, no, we are going to take these children. It will be okay. We will be right back. We are going to do this. And so it's kind of turning into, I guess, like the trolley car problem, right? A little bit, because Castiel keeps insisting that, it's talking about millions of people, millions of lives, not just these two. But Dean is looking at these two boys and seeing himself and his brother, obviously, as well, and wants to take them to safety.
Yeah, and we're definitely getting a lot of Dean projection onto these kids. But Sam, and Cass is not. We've seen this side of Cass before. This is not a new thing of like, why are you like? But and we talked about this from a military perspective. This is Cass is like, I'm fighting a war.
He's a general.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't understand. But we get to see this. Dean is just like, we're this is our humanity card and this is what we play, and they play it hard. Like it is a hard like, look at these two children that are just like us. Like it's like a man, here's my sign of like, we're human, right? So
Sam and Dean both go to take these boys and drop them off to their uncle. They're driving at night, blah blah blah. During this, Castiel stays back and him and Bobby are there. They're like, Bobby's like, oh, they're not going to take too long. They're waiting on the brothers to come back. And Castiel gets snarky. He's like, well, I don't know. They may find more wayward orphans on the way.
And I love this line. The side of Castiel is just like, it's snarky and it's smart. And Bobby's just like, well, and he's like, well, you know what we can do? We can go poke that pig until he squeals. Ah!
So Castiel's excited though. This distracts him from being mad at Dean for going. So we get a sweet sad cut to Sam and Dean dropping these boys off with their uncle, who hugs them. And just also, there's like no explanation for like where their family is. There's like no paperwork. They're just like dropping these two boys off at the address they told them to.
And with no speaking, just hugging it and eye acting. That's just like,
and
we
then
just look at each other. It's like, nah, here's children. I give you them. I'm sorry, parents, dad. We're not going to talk about that at all.
Bye.
Or bye. Bye. Enjoy this child.
Yeah. So Bobby and Castiel are going to interrogate the sheriff, and the sheriff's talking about Eve, but like saying like, you're all just making her mad. So whatever. And Bobby's like, yeah, all right, tell her to come get us then. Whatevs. But Castiel's finally like, I want 5 minutes alone with him. He won't say why. But Bobby's like, what are you going to do? You don't have your power. But whatever. So he leaves. And we sit with Bobby, and he starts hearing some yells from the interrogation room. And we get Castiel walking out, wiping blood off of his hands.
We know he was fisting him.
But there wasn't blood before.
But why is that on his hand? He did the soul thing, right? I think he shoved his hand in there. Like, why would he have to be alone with him?
I don't know. But he knows where Eve is.
Because Bobby was doing shitty things to him. Like, how much worse did Cass get?
I mean, I don't know. But he's got an address. And when Sam and Dean get back, the sheriff doesn't have a head anymore. And they are going to go to this address. And Dean distributes one of the ash-filled bullets to each of them, which is a total of 4 bullets, correct?
Well, there was 5. There was 5.
There was 5 to start, and he distributes 1 each.
And he gets 2.
4. Right.
He has 2 in his hand, so everyone else gets 1 each. He gets 2.
So he had 2. So they go up to this address, and it's somewhere that they've been repeatedly. Irvin's Diner.
And Dean's just like, what the fuck, man? It was this whole time? Like, and I would be pissed too. I'd be like, what? I'm running around fucking annoying. Town. It was goddamn diner the whole time. It was just fucking diner. Okay.
So Sam and Dean sit at the counter, and they leave Cass and Bobby outside. And as he's like looking around, Sam's using his fancy BlackBerry toy to use the camera to look at everybody, and everybody there has glowy eyes.
Oh no!
And he's just saying crap.
And I do love it as he's just like, because that's also like, I think we all feel this, because this is exactly what everyone would just be like, crap.
Yeah, that was really funny. And Dean asks, starships? Yeah, they're the only two humans in the place.
No, the only ones that are not flesh-eating monsters are Sam and Dean. And so I'm like, maybe we should get the fuck out of here.
But before they can do anything, their waitress, who is Eve, and her name tag says Angela, which is funny because it's Angel. She sets food in front of them and says, 2 specials? And they're like, no. And she pops off with, that would be rude, Sam.
She knows her name.
Yeah. And Dean's like, yeah, let's just go outside. And she's like, nope, this is private. And all of her Starship minions close the blinds.
Which is creepier. Like, the locking the door is one thing, but the closing the blinds, ooh, things are bad.
And they grab their weapons bag. And so she's looking at the shotgun, and she's pretty impressed that they were able to get some Phoenix Ash, and knows that they had to probably go a really long way to get that. But tells her Starship minion to go destroy the guns. But she tells Sam and Dean she's not there to fight. So this should be interesting. Dean's like, no, you're not here to fight. You're just to bring in conworms, half-assed Spider-Men, and dragons. And she's like, yeah, I dusted off old classics. It's very funny. But she's insisting that she doesn't want to tear apart the planet. It's all a misunderstanding. I had a good arrangement. We had a natural order. I had my children that would turn things or be turned and then be hunted. And there was more hunters. And there was just this rotation, this balance in the universe. I was fine with it. I was happy. But once my children started getting kidnapped and tortured, even my firstborns, that's it. Drove over the line. And Dean's makes jokes about her using a Mother of the Year defense. So what does she do? She transforms into Mary Winchester.
She does. She goes into the mother. But the thing is like Eve's monologue, she is not wrong. And this is I am like Team Eve for the most part. I'm like, yeah, she has
a very reasonable case. I'm not saying I fully agree.
I'm not saying like Jefferson Starship is the way to go, but I mean, I'm saying like, hey,
her complaint is legit.
Yeah, she has a valid reason to be upset, and you are fucking up the natural order of things. More specifically, somebody is fucking up the natural order of things.
Right.
Who be that somebody?
Who could it be?
Who could it be now?
Could it be the person that they know was
this was his heart going a little flutter? You hear a little pounding of it going like,
because she doesn't want to kill Sam and Dean. She wants to fucking kill Crowley.
Crowley.
But Dean's like, it's too late. We roasted him months ago. She's like, nah, brah, he alive. So I can see his face in the eyes of every child that he strings up and skins. That's unpleasant.
Yeah, it is. And so but did she have to choose that? Like, did she know? Like, was she just flipping through and she's like, oh shit, Crowley, he ain't dead. Like, how did she figure this out? How does this work inside your head, Mama? Like, I need to know, like, what this.
I know. It's very stressful. So, but Dean's like, yeah, he just wants purgatory for a location, blah, blah, location, like he says. And she's like, nope, he wants souls. He wants power. And it's all about fuel, like a little nuclear reactor, because he's the king of hell, and he wants to siphon off my supply.
And it's what they've been saying. I'm trying not to clap into the microphone. It's what has been saying all season. It's the souls. It's about the souls. Haven't you been paying a fucking attention? It's about the goddamn souls.
Yeah. It's about the souls. Yeah.
So show me the souls. So things are starting to kind of like gel Right.
Yeah, we're finally starting to gel into what the
fuck has been happening all season is finally starting to get explained.
And this is Castiel, this is Crowley, this is all, they're all giving excuses and stories, but at the end of the day, what are they all seeking? And apparently we're learning what are they all seeking and collecting and fighting for is souls.
It's like Pokemon. So you gotta catch them all. You gotta catch all these souls, right? And so what she's just gonna do is, well, I'm just gonna circumvent this, and I'm just turning all of the humans into monsters, and they're my souls, and I win. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
Not mad at this idea. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. So, and Dean's like, yeah, it's not really, but they're imploding all over town. They're not working right. And she's like, oh no, I finally got it right. It's quiet and conspicuous. It spreads through a whole town in a day. And yeah, my brothers were y'all were my final test. Guess what? Little Ryan, the silent one.
Oh
no, the cute
Why
little
couldn't
boy
he talk? Because his mouth was full of
teeth. Spiky teeth. So we cut back to the uncle's house, and Uncle has found Joe, the older brother, on the floor with 2 puncture wounds in his neck. And Ryan is there with a very bloody mouth.
He has fruit punch mouth.
But then Joe's on his feet again. That's not good. And they both attack their uncle.
And a pitter-patter.
Pitter-patter, blood spatter. It's very sad. I don't like it.
It was. It's pretty fucked up too. Because like you can tell like the little kid like ate his brother and his brother that was carrying like, so like you have like this whole reflection of, we obviously had the projection of Sam and Dean onto these children.
Yeah.
And now Sam just ate Dean, I guess. Yeah. But Dean's alive now. And so they're up and eating their uncle together.
I don't know. It's weird and unpleasant. That's all I know. So anyways,
we get back to the diner.
Eve's like, look, it was back at the diner. Eve's like, look, it was bound to work on y'all, and there's nothing to do now. So it's whatever. Let's make an offer. Let's make a deal. Ta-da. You find Crowley, bring him to me. I will let you live. And Dean just like straight up hard pass. He's like, nah. And she's like, you don't have any fucking options. As we get starships marching, Bobby.
Well, I got friends. Oh, shit, no.
None. And she makes a flaccid crack about,
again, we get another penis
about Cass.
Angel things are like limp dicks. All right.
But she's like, look, I want you to work for me, and we won't kill you. As a bonus, I won't kill you or your friends. Ta-da! What a deal. What a deal.
In my notes, Dean refuses harder.
He does. He's like, yeah, no, for months we worked for an evil dick. We're not about to work for an evil bitch. We don't want to work for demons or monsters. Just kill us. And she's like, or I can turn you and you'll just do what I say anyways. Which is a fair point and probably not great.
Probably not great. But as she's grabbing him, he says, beat me with a wire hanger. The answer is still no. And that is how we get our full turnaround to Mommy Dearest. That's the episode title. There's also a very great line. And then in just the best voice ever, Dean tells Eve to bite him. But she's still Mary is weird. So she bites him.
It's very weird. It's so weird that it's still Mary. It's very uncomfortable. He had trouble making eye contact with her for the first minute or so of her talking as Mary. And so she does. But she doesn't bite him for very long. She starts coughing. Her chest starts flashing with light. Because apparently Dean mixed his Phoenix ash in with some whiskey and drank it.
Smart. Yeah. And apparently, I wouldn't want to do that shot. It sounds really like, like you're just tasting that like forever. And just like, it's just like stuck in the back of your throat.
And we get Eve flashes back to her other body, not the Mary body, and she's got black veins. She's got freaking glowing rib cage. She's got black blood coming out of her face, clear black goo coming out of her head and running down her face. It is fucking gross.
I love the glowing rib cage show. Like that was such a really beautiful effect. It was so good. But yeah, so much goo. My friend
very
goo.
Gooey.
Yeah.
So gooey. And Dean's got this neck wound where she bit the fuck out of him. And she is very upset, though. She is collapsing. There's screeching noises. The starships all are about to start attacking. It's all fucked. as she's on the ground, and Castiel just like says, "Shut your eyes," and there's a blinding white light, and all of the starships.
He just smites the whole room.
Yeah. Bobby's like, you gotta take you on more monster hunts.
Right? Like, we just be pissed off. I just like, and this would kind of go to like future fights. So the future though is like sometimes like Cass can just like take the whole room down, and other times that's one at a time. I'm like, why don't you just do this shit? Like, I have things to do. Like, I've got to go. Like, well, I got some TV to catch up on. Like, you know,
yeah, snap it up. Yeah,
we know that Bobby's got to catch up on his Tori.
Right, he does love Tori. But Dean is concerned that he could still have been turned into a Jefferson Starship. But Castiel just boops him on the shoulder and he's all better.
So couldn't Castiel just booped all those other people and cure them from being Jefferson Starships instead of killing all of them?
I don't know, because since Dean hadn't turned yet, maybe that was the difference. I don't know. I'm making shit up. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. I think Cass only cares about his boyfriend. All right, so Dean's no longer a starship, and Dean's just like, oh shit, Ryan.
Yeah, we gotta go. So they flap to the uncles, and the uncle is
without
dead.
Some attitude from Cass. Like, Cass is very much "I told you so" attitude.
Oh yeah, he's so irritated about all of this, and Uncle's dead. And Dean's pissed. He's just very deflated. He's like, we killed the Wicked Witch and she still wins. He could have turned half the town right now, and he doesn't want to hear anything from Castiel about it. But Bobby just opens the basement door just out of curiosity, and both boys are on the steps dead.
What?
That's weird.
That's weird.
Oh, and what's that residue on the floor that Sam finds? Sulfur?
Again, when are these demons just dropping their sulfur? Like, cause they're just kind of wander around times. Like
dandruff.
Like why is it like this time? Like, why is it only in this specific spot? Right? There isn't like a trail of sulfur anywhere. It's just like this one little piece of sulfur that's right here. Like, is it like when they kill somebody and then like there's like, is it like demon jack off or like what the fuck is this? Why is this here?
They sneeze. It's like
I kill you. Sulfur. Like.
It's like a hairball. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. Very weird. Anyway, but so why the fuck are demons there, and why the fuck are demons going to kill these kids?
Right? That's weird. That's fucking
weird. Yeah. So why do demons care about monster tweens? So now they know that definitely she must be telling the truth about Crowley, and Crowley is in the mix. So, he's, Eve's all in on it. Eve's definitely told them the truth. Castiel's going to go look into it, so he flaps away. But Bobby's really kind of like upset. He's like, that doesn't seem like a mistake.
Well, I don't even know he's like that upset. Castiel would make. Bobby is just finally like, well, I got some questions here, because Bobby's not stupid. Yeah. And Bobby's like, hey,
Cass burned those bones. Cass wouldn't have fucked that up.
He doesn't make mistakes. Like he's an angel. Like, he should know, like, who's, he should know whose bones those are, right? Like, y'all see that, right? And Sam's just like, oh,
good point.
Oh, yeah,
good point.
But Dean's just like,
Sam agrees. Sam's a little sus.
Him in my ass. Too. What?
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to say that.
But so Dean's just like, no, he's fine. It's probably nothing.
But we get a scene at the diner. We've got Castiel at the diner, alone. And then Miracles by Jefferson Starship comes on the jukebox.
Which is how you know.
And who's there but fucking Crowley? And he asks,
that's not what my notes say. My notes do not say who's there but fucking Crowley. My notes say, but here comes the dulcet tones of my Crowley.
And he asks, how many times is he going to clean up his mess?
Oh, it's getting ridiculous.
And Castiel just squints at him real hard. Just squints real hard.
And so, like we said earlier, in earlier this season early in episode 7, Family Matters, Mark Sheppard didn't want to like have his name in the credits, so it'd be a surprise, and he did it this time again. But there was a paparazzi who caught a picture of him flying into Vancouver, but he like deflected it, and he was like, "It's not for Supernatural." And then after the episode, he tweeted that he was filmed while that photograph, he was going to film episode 20, not 19, so nobody knew about 19, so fuck off. So, but I just still think that's beyond the fact that I think he's hot as fuck. I think that's just a cool thing to do for fans.
That is cool. I mean, like, you don't have to. I mean, it's not required. It's just playing along, and that's fun. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, do you have casting couch before we jump into how we feel?
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
I do have a little bit of casting couch for us. I know we had a little bit of a decent sized cast in this one, but I'm going to stick to the highlights, if you will. So we've already seen some of these characters, obviously, so I'm not going to go in depth. It's just been a minute. So just as a reminder, Mary Winchester, a.k.a. Eve, in this episode is played by Samantha Smith, who we've talked about before, obviously. And Lenore is played by Amber Benson, as we know and love. Tara from Buffy. And then, of course, the primary Eve, Eve is played by Julia Maxwell, who we've talked about as well. So rolling into this, a couple of specific characters from this episode. We've got our sheriff is played by Roman Podora, and kind of funny, he just plays a lot of cop roles.
Sometimes people are just like cast as cops, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So you've got, his career goes back to the 80s. He was in multiple episodes of 21 Jump Street, La Femme Nikita, single episodes of MacGyver, Highlander, Outer Limits, Smallville, Fringe, more recently Maid, MAID, to be clear. He was played a pilot in the movie Jason X with Jason 10. And then he was Sergeant Fogarty in the musical movie Chicago. He was a cop in Assault on Precinct 13. And he was a cop in Cinderella Man. And then he was in the movie The Bad Son as Michael Brennan. Ed Bryant was played by Nathan Witt. You may have seen him in single episodes of shows like Hellcat, Smallville, Arrow, Wayward Pines, Van Helsing, and Riverdale. He played a character named Porter in the movie Meet Cute. He is an ongoing character named Godric in Charmed. And he was an ongoing character in Batwoman.
If it's the old Charmed, Robles. I know which Godric it is, but
no.
New Charmed, fuck New Charmed. I'm sorry, New Charmed is fine. Maybe. I don't know.
And then Agent Robles in Batwoman. And then he has had quite the run of Hallmark Christmas movies as well. So yeah, that's our main casting this week.
That is exciting. Wow.
Yeah.
So as we talked about at the beginning of this, like this was, there was a lot of, things within the fandom and just in general with what do you do when it's, episode 19 and what we thought was a big bad gets killed off.
Yeah, it's wild. I think that was pretty wild, but I want to say, like, I know you were kind of like on the episode. I actually really liked this episode, except for the amount of like things that don't make sense. And I'm not just saying like lore we don't know. I'm talking about like, well, that didn't work. But other than that, I found it a really fun episode overall. The Jefferson Starships were cool. I think the dark underpinning of like the story with Castiel and Crowley is really interesting. I don't like it when it feels like a monster is not killable, so I didn't love the Eve thing, so I'm kind of relieved, honestly, there. I feel like you can't, I don't like defeatist stuff, like you feel like you can't win. So overall, I was really pleased with the episode, and it was fucking funny with the Jefferson Starships.
No, agreed. It was funny, but I think also just, as I alluded to, I very sympathize with Eve, and I would worship her as my god. But it just, as far as like bads go, like I don't feel her like, yes, I think we're supposed to view her as, I still have so much empathy for her. Like it's hard for me just to be like, and like to have her like be killed so easily. Like this is like the mother of all monsters. And like that was a very easy way to take her down.
It was too easy. That was too easy. But I will say I didn't have any empathy at all for her or her case until she laid it out here. Like before that, you were like, "Oh, this is just..."
Yeah, and maybe it's because
bitch walking around touching people's faces at the bar.
I have that knowledge of it too. Like I had that for, I knew the whole story of like what was going on with Eve. But even before though, I still knew like basically you have this thing that makes, I mean, a monster is as bad as like what I guess like morality world you put it into, because like for the most part monsters are just animals, they don't have moral compasses, they're fucking animals, like and then like some of them do have moral compasses and then sometimes they don't, but Eve is just this, is a creator, and they're just basically like, you're evil because you were a creator, right? I don't like that. I don't like that argument. That's fair. Yeah, and just the fact that she came into this world and she was pissed off because they were hurting her kids. So fuck you, to me, like I feel bad that Eve is dead because I'm just like, yeah, she was just a badass mom defending her kids.
Does that mean there's not? Is that going to limit the number of monsters? Like, does it mean
I guess, like, can we not have new monsters now? I mean, but I guess it depends on how much you believe in evolution, right? Were all those monsters created by Eve, or did some of them just like originally I was, a frog, and then now I'm a frog with teeth and eat my spaghetti?
Or because they're magically created, did they
magically delicious?
Do the rules of evolution don't apply? I don't know. This gets too complicated.
I know. I like I said, I saw Greg Gaffin from Bad Religion, who is a professor in evolutionary biology, a couple weeks ago. I should probably come back and be like, all right, I have this question for you, and then watch him be like, security. But I saw him talk to a banana, so maybe I could ask him this. I don't know. It's yeah. I mean, the episode. It's not that I don't enjoy it. It's that when I have a lot of foreknowledge here, right? Like I know what's coming. Yes. And I also know what it means that this got dropped in episode 19, right? So not to be like buckle up, Diana, but like what the
I know we're at the end of a season and we just lost what we thought was the bad guy. So I am fully prepared for the next few weeks. And then also
what is your reaction to this Cass and Crowley situation that just got brought in at the end, right? Like this is a pretty huge reveal and gets dropped in with 30 seconds, right? That's it.
Yeah. It's a huge deal, and so it's the king of hell and the general in heaven are working together on something, and so now it just spirals into all the questions like, is Crowley helping Cass with souls, or is there still are they just have some other weird side partnership, and what is the ethical and Is it okay that they're doing this? Like, it sounds
Cass
like
is family, sketch. And he's lying to them. He is not like, there is a big,
he's lying.
You can't be like a member of your family and be like fucking around with like your ex's in-laws and like not tell them, right? Like that's where my metaphor is going. Like somehow this just became a very weird Southern thing, but like there is a very huge lie that's happening, that's being revealed here that we can tell the guys still don't know.
Yeah, because I mean also, and then on top of that, Castiel obviously lied about killing Crowley, and so that means Crowley manufactured his own fake death. Like they planned all of that in front of them.
I mean, she actually Machiavelli never actually faked his own death, but it was a plan, blah, blah. But whatever, but so that is very Machiavellian. Anyways, so I feel like we're dragging this out now, and this is a very long episode. Anything else? No. All right, buckle up, bitches. As like I said, this just happened. It was episode 19. All right, cheers, jerk.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.